evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is now 2 minutes after 7 p.m. here in Warsaw, Poland, where it is freezing and due to be snowing in a couple of days with minus temperatures. But I'm going to be kept warm and cozy and fuzzy with the amazing companionship, humor, and and personality of the one and the only Usama Duck.
Thank you
Welcome back,
so much.
Usama.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, when I hear this number going down, that, you know what? The first thing come to my mind after I see numbers go down as the intro of your show?
You're waiting for a Muslim to shout Allahu Akbar and the bomb to
No,
explode?
no, 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 no. Ladies and Habibis.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm sure he stole that from me. I'm pretty sure,
Ah,
100%.
come on. You don't even have ladies and Habibis. Adam Seeker show, you always start like that. Anyway, well, I hope you had a wonderful time. Your vacation was long and you look relaxed. Your face look like happy and joyful. And I hope your wife enjoyed the trip as well and good vacation. And just pray
We
for
had a
me
good
some
time.
the next 5, 10 years I'll have a vacation like you. Just one.
Okay, great. Yeah, well, yeah, yeah, we had a good time, and yeah, it was sad to have it end. And I mean, I spent much of that time without any kind of Wi-Fi or phone signal, so it was great. But today we're here to focus on a very serious topic.
I
We're going to
know.
talk about the Holy Quran. And I say
Hmm.
that because it is full of holes,
Man.
large holes, and we need to put more holes in it. We need to make it more holy, and hopefully that's what you're going to do today. I need you to
Even
deliver, Osama.
even Imam Yasser Qadi confessed last year that there are holes in the narratives of the Quran. There is holes in Islam. Yes, indeed. Go ahead.
Well, there's a narrative in the holes, so we need to, yeah, definitely. So tell you what, I just want to start off with something. Let me share my screen. Um,
Absolutely. I'd
so
love
yeah,
to.
it's been 2 weeks. I did stream last night. I'm going to stream again tomorrow night with someone called Ibn al-Waraq, and maybe I need to bring you on as well, Usama, so the three of us can. This guy
Oh,
he's
it's
like a
my
walking.
joy.
Say what?
It will be my joy. You talk about Ibn Warqas, the guy
Not
who's
him. It's a different guy. He's an
ah,
Egyptian. But long story, I can't share all the details. It's actually kind of juicy, but sadly I can't share all of it. But he is like a walking encyclopedia. This guy's got a memory, crazy memory for Islamic stuff and history and stuff.
yeah.
And so yeah, and this guy's knowledge of Islam
Maybe
is
that's why.
phenomenal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe that's why he had the title Ibn Warqa.
So exactly, well, yeah, this guy has an incredible memory and knowledge, and it's really fascinating. So welcome, James Scales. So yeah, let me show something on the screen, something that I've been discussing with in the past. But when you look at the KKK, I thought we'd
Yeah.
just do this for the fun of it. When we look at the KKK, right, the
Yeah.
sacred book of the KKK is called the Quran. Now, I featured this some years ago, and then like about a week or two later, David Wood mentioned it on his channel. But anyway, the sacred book of the KKK is called the Quran, which is derived from the Quran, right? Now, the earliest symbol of the KKK was not a cross. Their very first symbol on their very first uniforms, and here you're seeing it. This is the very first uniform of the KKK. What do you see there, Usama?
I see the moon and the star.
A moon and a star. Yeah, the very first symbol of the KKK was the Islamic crescent
I
and
think you're
star.
making this up, man. You're making this up. No way.
This
No way.
is serious facts. So the very first symbol, this is the earliest uniform of the KKK, the crescent and the star. Now, what's interesting is just a couple of facts. So now burning a cross, they burn the cross. They're known for burning crosses, which is sacrilege in Christianity. That is
Sure.
sacrilege to burn the cross. Now, oddly enough, right, the the head of the clan is called the caliph. Do you know of any group that has a caliph, Usama?
It is the loving, peaceful Muslim. Why?
The peacefuls, yes, the peacefuls want to form a caliphate under a caliph. And
Mhm.
you have the Grand Turk. The Turks are Buddhists, right? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
I cannot correct, man. You're the best.
The Ottoman Empire. They were Ottomans. They were places where you put your feet when you're sitting on a sofa.
Osmanis, yeah, yeah, it's a very great empire. It's the last of the Muslims empire, you know.
Muslims? Oh my gosh. And then notice you have the Grand Wizard has 10 genies to help him.
So they believe in genies too. And the only
Genies.
one who believes in genies is a loving, peaceful Prophet Muhammad. But his genie became a Muslim. So that's the difference now.
Yeah, and then they use the word kun. They use the word kun as an insult, which comes from mushrikun. So just some
MashaAllah.
interesting
Hey,
thoughts about
there's
the
a lots of
KKK.
time. I saw KKK is a white folks who did not like the black folks and they scared that they lied of them by burning the cross and then hang them. No?
So yeah, let's just say there are questions here that need to be asked. And these are original photographs. So this is actually from the University of Tennessee, I believe, in their archive, where you can find these original photos. So yeah, just
Yeah.
something to bear in mind when people talk about the
But was
KKK.
their clothes red and white? Is this the right color for the
Yeah,
clothes
this
or
was
just
the original
wear
standard
white?
outfit from back in the day. Yeah. Let me zoom into
Man,
this one. I mean, this just looks this is just weird stuff here.
unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah.
Yep,
You,
yep.
you
That's
got a
the
point. You almost convinced me of it because can I say the Shahada now and join the KKK or should I wait until the end of the show?
look, rather wait till the end of the show because these
We'll
are
wait.
private matters. You need to,
Yeah. Take your
these are,
time. No rush.
so
And what is this?
yes.
A gay picture? Is this a gay and lesbian picture?
No, every 60 seconds my background changes. I have
Oh, I thought you celebrate the gay and lesbian flag.
that was just there was a time that was just a colorful computer graphic. There was a
Man.
time that was just innocent computer graphics. But we'll see in
Yeah.
60 seconds. It'll be something else. It'll change every 1 minute. I have a
Oh,
new
no, no.
text.
We're gonna have time. We're busy. We have something very important to talk about. This is the cover for my Quran, man. You're advertising for me now. I should be
Yeah, we
paying
were
you
here.
money.
So this is where we ended. We were going to talk about Abraham and
Lot.
Lot.
All right. Before we get to that, brother, if you don't mind, I just want to share a few thoughts. I'm not sure if I have wrote them in that book or not. If they're written, oh well, we repeat ourselves. If not, then I don't miss it. When you read the Quran, Brother Lloyd, there's zero chance to figure out who related to who. Okay. We're talking about Abraham and Lot. By the way, when the story of Abraham is so long in my book here for a reason, because it is connected, it's intertwined with other stories. For example, we're going to see today Lot. In the near future, we're going to see Ishmael, Isaac, his Abraham and his people. We talked about it a little bit, I believe, already. Abraham and the king. Abraham, I mean, Muhammad squeezed Abraham with everybody else. So you cannot help but if you're going to talk about other things, you have to talk. If you're going to talk about Abraham, you have to talk about the things which connected with Abraham. But you may think when you read the Quran that Abraham was a prophet and Lot was a prophet. Abraham was a messenger and Lot is a messenger. Abraham was sent to his people and Lot was sent to his people. But amazingly, a little bit later in the Quran, you find that actually Allah sent messengers to his messenger, Lot. So now we know that Lot was not a messenger. Now, when you hear the word Lot and his people, it is illogical in the grammatic, in the Arabic understanding, the ideology, that it's not, and when I say Usama and his people, it does not mean that they're relative to me. It could be my people because Allah sent me to them. So now there is a possession of his people. But when you get to the Quran, it is a funny. Why? Lot was not a prophet. So he could not be sent to his people. Of course, as we know, the perfect word of Allah, the Quran, you don't know who is talking to about what. It's a fact. So you do not know who is his people. But if you think his people, biblically, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah and the other three cities, they're not his people in any way or shape or form. Why? Because Lot was not a prophet. Lot was not a messenger. He was not sent to his people. And from the biblical context and from the Quran readings, you find that they were not his people. Lot came from Iraq and he go to the land of the Jordan, where Sodom and Gomorrah is. So they're not his people by relatives. They're not his people by prophethood or messengerhood relationship. This is something very important. More important than that, When you read about Abraham and Lot in the Quran, you do not know how they related. Is Abraham and Lot just happen to be two brothers in the prophethood, or there is a physical relationship that is missing in the Quran? And but obviously, when we go to Genesis account, you find out Lot was his nephew. Abraham is uncle. It is Lot's uncle, no more nor less. Anyway, I just want to say this outside to start with, in case I don't have it in my book. I don't think I wrote that, but we'll
You know
see.
what? It's easy to see why in Islam you don't ask too many questions. Too many questions leads to doubt. Doubt leads to
Because
apostasy.
there's no any answer. Don't ask many questions because there's no answer. There's not a one answer. But anyway,
Right. Yeah. So that's that. So welcome everyone. Patrick Norman. I'm not sure I know Patrick Norman Park. Welcome. I'm not sure I know the name, but hello. Good to see you. James Scales. That's a new name to me as well. Hello, Evan. I know you. David James Flood. I believe I've seen that name once or twice. Hello, Adiz. Hello, Christy Johnson. Yeah. So, and then of course Adiz. Well, I mean, why would the KKK have Islamic symbolism originally, which is then obviously too much on the nose, and then they suddenly switch to very Christian symbolism? You know,
yeah.
one has to wonder. One has
Maybe
to ask the question at the very least.
maybe we need to spend more time on that subject. Also, the Shriners. The Shriners have lots of ties with
Oh,
Islam.
heavily Islamic. And then I've had people tell me, well, they're just cosplaying.
Yeah.
They're just
And it's amazing. There are plenty of Baptists, my own denomination, deacons and elders who are in the Shriners cult, and they don't know. You see,
good
cults are
grief.
very deceptive, Dwight. They can be everywhere. They can be in your own house and you didn't even know it. That is the beauty of cult. They know how to color themselves in different colors. They know how to. It is what the Bible said: wolf in sheepskin. If you think you're talking to a sheep, when in reality, they're wolves. So we will maybe get to some of this stuff. If you're going to teach it, I'll listen, I'll learn. Good.
Let's actually hold on. Let me just it should be here. Let me find this for you. I'm just going to bring this up.
Sure.
Okay, well, shall we just spend a few minutes on the Shriners? Then we.
Here is the star and here is the moon. Same star, same moon.
So this is just a
It's
quick
over.
overview then. So you've got the Fez, the Moroccan Fez. Now notice these are the Shriners. They have
Yeah.
little hospitals. They do charity.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
it says Muslim. Muslim, that means Muslim. That's a Buddhist, right?
Yeah.
And the sword of Muhammad, and oh my, the crescent and star, but also the symbol of Isis. I believe that's Isis, the Egyptian goddess. So
Yeah.
odd, odd, odd. Okay, but this
That
was
is
adopted as the Shrine's official headgear in 1872. It's from Fez, Morocco, because in 1033, 6,000 Jews were murdered there. And there were further massacres in 1276 and 1465. So the red color is apparently reminiscent of the murder of Kufat.
they used to put their head in the blood, and that's how you got the red color on the head. Yeah.
Right. So now here you've got Islam. That's what Buddhists follow, isn't it? So these Shriners can't have
Absolutely.
anything to do with Islam. It's got, I mean, because we know from Muslims that tell us Islam has nothing to do with Islam.
Especially when we know that Abraham was not a Muslim. He was just a
Correct.
Muslim. Yeah.
Correct. And then when people shout Allahu Akbar and ram cars through people, then that's got nothing to do with Islam either.
No.
So there we go. So let's have a look. Medina. Now that's in Thailand.
It's just you misunderstand that one. You're taking that out of context. I can see you.
You're
You
right, but
make
that's the only way to take Islam is out of context,
sure.
apparently. Muhammad, let me think. He's another time.
And the sword is in every. Did you notice the sword is the common element in all the sword and the croissant, the moon and the star. Man,
And the
there's so much
Egyptian
time.
goddess.
Yes, yes. Isis.
Isis. Yeah, what's to wonder? Now, of course, you've got here the Egyptian mystery cult of Isis, but let's skip over that. The fez, right? So the Shriners wear the fez, right? And it says when pilgrimages to Mecca were interrupted by the Crusades, the Mohammedans west of the Nile journeyed to Fez in Morocco as a holy city. Oh, so now the fez is a holy symbol, a replacement of Mecca, and that's why these people have the fez to remind them of the holy city of. Okay, fantastic. And they speak here of. It is divided into two rites: the York Rite, which goes from the entered apprentice to the Knights Templar. So that's a long history with the Knights Templar, who seem to have at some point lost their way and adopted Islamic Sufism. But that's another story. Here we go. This is, do you know who this guy is?
Yes, that's a prophet of the nation of Islam in America.
Yeah, the Prophet of the Nation of Islam. So, yeah,
Elisha, Prophet Elisha Muhammad, peace be upon him. Or Allah's prayer and Allah's peace be upon him.
yeah, Elisha Muhammad. And then you've got just some random white dude with Islam. So one has to wonder how many white Americans are converts that you wouldn't know, that are serving the Islamic cause that you
But
would
see,
not know.
listen, brother, listen, brother. These are the people who study the Quran and investigate and found the truth in it. And they believe in the loving, peaceful of the religion of Allah and Muhammad. That's why they convert to Islam. You could be too if you just don't have to understand anything. You be a good Muslim as well. You can. There's still hope for
Yeah,
you.
but what if I want to have a beer one day and they kill me for it? You know, I'm kind of against that. So now this is the among the oaths of the Masonic Shriner is one that says, "And may Allah, the God of Arab, Muslim, and Mohammedan, the God of our fathers." What fathers are they referring to here? "Support me to the entire fulfillment of the same. Amen, amen, amen." These are
So
white American
seriously,
men.
the picture on the left is Elisha Muhammad. Am I right about
Yes,
that?
yes, correct.
Okay, I just guessed it. He looked like him, but maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, that's Elijah Muhammad. No, that is him. Here you've got another random white guy, which is odd. And here you've got more of them. Arabia, Arabia, Arabia. Here you've got General Douglas,
Right. Yes.
President Ford. Now, look, I'm not going to go all conspiratorial and say that these guys are all Muslim converts. But many of these people would join these things
That
for
looked
the
like
fun,
Reagan.
or
The guy in the middle. Is this Reagan?
Douglas MacArthur, Ford, Hoover, Truman, and John Wayne. So these people
I
could have,
meant John Wayne. Yeah, it is John Wayne. The movie
yep,
star actor. Let me look. Let me put my glasses. I can't see. Oh yeah, actor John Wayne. Man, I was right.
yep.
MashaAllah.
Here you've got the mayor of Chicago, Richard Daley, vice president.
Are you
Then
sure
you've got
these are not Photoshop? Somebody took the hat and put on these people's faces. Maybe.
apparently not Warren Harding, President Warren Harding, one of the. Now, notice everyone loses their minds. Look at these rabbis in the White House. Well, look at all of these Shriners. Look at all of these Shriners here in the White House. And, so
Because
you've got,
you see, Lloyd, they present themselves to be a good deed worker people. They love children, they love to help, they're doing a great job. So what is wrong with you, man?
well, yeah, let's just say there are questions. So they were so powerful that in 52, Harry Truman and John F. Kennedy delivered their presidential campaign speeches at the shrine in Pittsburgh. Everyone loses their mind if the president talks to some Jews, but it's okay when he talks to these I don't know, these Muslim cosplayers or
Muslim
something.
lovers, Muslim helpers, Muslim whatever.
Something, yeah, Islam it says. These are very
But
powerful
see,
businessmen.
I don't believe, here's the truth. I don't believe that John Wayne, for example, that movie actor, he knows anything about Islam. As I
No, of
know,
course not.
90% of Muslims do not know anything about Islam. So it is my people destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Yep,
The Muslims have lack of knowledge, and those who join them have lack of knowledge. I mean, a
I
good friend
agree.
of mine in heaven right now, he used to be with the Shriners, and he could not see anything wrong with them
Yep.
because they were doing this great work with the hospitals, with
Yeah, but
children.
they say, hey, can you help me get a friend a job? Can you help me do this? Can you help me with that? You are
Sure.
helping them without knowing what you're actually doing. And here we go, the history of the order. Now, this is all of these white dudes, okay, the nobles of the mystic shrine. And they speak of Caliph Ali, the son-in-law of the Prophet
And look
Muhammad.
what is this in the top here. La ilaha illallah. And in the bottom here, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There's no God except Allah. And in the name of Allah, the merciful, which is, repeated in the Quran 114 times.
Which has nothing to do with Islam, obviously.
But you see, you're taking this out of context.
Probably, that's you just keep reminding me whenever I do that, okay?
I'm trying to help you. Listen,
Thank you.
you're my
And
friend. I like
the
you a lot.
salutation among the faithful, the faithful here being the Shriners, is Salam Alaikum. Now,
MashaAllah, Salam alaikum, brother. Salam alaikum. Prophet Muhammad used to say it. Prophet Abraham used to say it. Prophet Isa, peace be upon him, used to say it. Salam
and
alaikum.
you reply alaikum salam, which is what Eskimos do, right? That's the
Exactly.
Eskimo language.
You're absolutely right about that. Eskimos.
And
Mosquitoes?
then
You talk
they,
about mosquitoes?
yep. And then, of course, here you've got the keg patrol. No, these guys are not Muslims. They look at them, they do the keg patrol. Well, here's the Shrine Mosque, okay? Abu Ben Adam, 1922 Shrine Mosque. Mosques are
See,
where you store the beer. The beer is stored in the
brother,
mosques, right?
Abu bin Adam, the father of the son of Adam. What is wrong? It's biblical. It's in the Bible. I saw it in the Bible.
Yeah. It's at the mosque. This is where they store these beer kegs. I'm sure of that. That's what a mosque means. And
Mm.
here's the interesting thing: the the Order of the Noble Mystic Shrine, right?
Yeah.
These letters, something something Order of. When you actually read it, and here's the mosque, okay? And Ibrahim ibn Adam Balki, now the guy who started this mosque, is the most prominent early Sufi saint, right? So it's named after a Sufi saint, right? This is the historical mosque. Here you go in Springfield, and the Mecca Temple, right? And also AAONMS is an anagram of a Mason, a Freemason, right? And here you go. These two men met with 11 others. That's 13 men in New York's Masonic Hall, 114 East 13th Street. 13 men on 13th Street, 114 chapters in the Quran. And they became the charter members of the New York Temple named Mecca, the Mecca Shrine of North America. Isn't that just odd symbolism that these guys have to? And then, of course, you've got the Mecca Shrine right there. It looks like a mosque, the dome and everything. And then, of course, here you've got this is a Shriner temple, right, which is also a Mason lodge. Notice you've got the minaret style. This guy's got his little fez, and notice you've got the crossed swords on top of the. Is that a Quran?
Yes. And then al jihadu fi sabilillahi, Allahu Akbar. That's what's written here. Jihad for the sake of Allah and Allahu Akbar. MashaAllah,
So why
MashaAllah.
would they want to be copying the black flag of jihad in their little Shriner lodge when they're not real Muslims?
Listen, it's coincidence. It's just sometimes you use the same color for different things. You
And
see?
then, of course, piracy. Few people realize, but this whole Jolly Roger, the whole piracy, guess where we get this symbol from? The pirate flag. Guess where the pirate flag originally came from?
Black and white was eyed like that, but that's not Allah. The
So
skull here,
at a
that's not Allahu
distance,
Akbar. See, that's
at
difference.
a distance, you couldn't quite make this out, so people saw this, and then eventually it just became this. You see the black flag of jihad, Muslim pirates, Muslim piracy. So yeah, so I'll leave that over there. I'll leave that there, but just so people realize, there's a few things going on that we might want to
That
ask
was very
questions about.
educational, and I think I'm almost convinced. Almost. Eh. Just you need to give me a little bit more, brother. Otherwise, I'm sorry. I cannot say it. I'm talking about the Shahada unless you prove it.
I recommend that you stick with the Shana Na.
Will be better.
The Shana Na is friendly. It brings back good memories, and they sang nice songs, did a bit of dancing, a little bit of acting. That's the movie. That's the series I learned about hair gel. The Fonz with his little comb and his hair. So yeah,
But
life lesson.
I don't have hair for your comb. I mean, how can I use a comb on that?
Well, hopefully
Hello.
you can sing. So,
Let's
right.
talk about Abraham Allah. I'm so excited now about Abraham Allah. I can't wait to start moving on. .org.
Arkham says this is all coincidence. Well, it has nothing to do with Islam. It never does. Yeah, of course. We all know it's all
Brother,
coincidence.
there is one devil, there is one Satan. His name is Allah. He can do a million road to hell because there's only one road to heaven. His name is Jesus the Christ. Any other road belong to not too many different gods or too many different beliefs. It is one. It's one lead to eternity in heaven, one lead to eternity in hell. I mean, you don't need to have a high school diploma or maybe a prep school degree to figure out the work of the devil in this world. If it's not Jesus Christ alone, it is Satan alone. And Satan have a million ways to lead to eternity in hell. Go ahead.
Right?
I'm sorry.
No,
Let me
correct.
finish.
So there are very strong ties between Abraham and Lot. When one reads the Quran, you may think that Lot was a prophet because his name is mentioned 27 times. Quran 6:86, and Ishmael and Al-Yasa, whoever that was, and Yunus and Lut,
That's supposed to be Elijah.
Elisha, and we preferred all those above the world. So they preferred Jesus above the worlds. They preferred Elisha and Ishmael and Yunus and Lut
Oh,
and Colonel Sanders and Karl Marx and everybody above. Yeah, okay, definitely a lot of people preferred above the worlds. In other verses, Lot was sent to his people as a messenger. Quran 37, 133, and surely Lot was of the messengers. Okay, DHL, you worked at DHL. More evidence that Lot was considered a prophet can be found when he was preaching, asking them to leave the indecency in the Quran. 77 verse 80. And Lot, when he said to his people, do you enter into the indecency which no one has committed before you of the worlds? In all the seven worlds, let's not forget.
yep.
There are similar passages of Lot's preaching repeated throughout the Quran. In 26, 160, the people of Lot denied the messengers. Okay, that's
But
unfortunate.
it is my problem, by the way, in verse 160 here. It's talking in a plural form, al-mursalin, or al-mursalin, yeah. So why in the world, if there's only the prophet Lot, why Allah put it in a plural? Why he didn't say denied the messenger without this?
Is Allah didn't have time for editing. He was very busy running the universe.
That's what I said.
He was using the same editors that Muhammad was using, and they're not very good. I think
we make mistakes. I understand. It's normal. I guarantee you.
I mean, Allah can't come to earth, as you know. He can't manage the writing here, so he's relying on these scribblers. I wouldn't even call them editors. These scribblers that advanced crayon users that Muhammad was relying upon, and they didn't do such a great job.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, I can relate to that because I'm from Africa. As you know, our education here is called advanced crayon. You know, in America, you guys have a very advanced system. You guys use pencils and everything that we're still striving to get to. But
what do you use there? Skin, animal skin, and bones and chisels.
yeah, before I stream, I got to take the bone out of my nose, man, so I can look respectable. Okay, so Ibn Kathir then introduced a strange title called the Sons of Abraham. He explained that Ishmael was his firstborn son from Hagar. Isaac was the second from Sarah. He mentioned that Kantora, wrong name, he meant Ketura, had 6 sons, but only mentioned the names of 5, of which only 1 was the correct name and 4 were the wrong spellings in the Arabic language. Why am I not surprised? Then he mentioned that Abraham married another woman by the name of Jehon, and she had 5 more children for Abraham. Amazingly, he called the first son Lot. He explained that Lot lived in the city of Sodom in a land called Horzah. He explained that these people were robbers and did evil that no one had done since Adam. What did they do? Okay, referring to their homosexual lifestyle. Now you know. Lot called them to serve the one true God, Allah, and to stop their evil ways. They did not listen because they did not believe in Lot or his message. Right. So the family of Lot is mentioned.
And I love it here, Lloyd. I love it when these scholars lumps all the errors of the Quran and make it the true description to the people of Lot. I mean, we never read in the Bible they were robbers, what do you call this, road thieves. We never have this. We know that their sin was very simple. It is the sin of homosexuality. But in the Quran, you see 4 different times Muhammad mentioned something different about it. So I love it when discuss this. You don't make a mistake. You don't say, well, we have contradictions in the Quran, but they were A, B, C, D, E. You see what I'm saying here? Just lump them all. That is their sin. For sure.
When you keep elaborating a story, when you keep adding details to a story, then you look like you're spinning a tale. You know? Yeah. Oh, well. So who was Lot? Was he a messenger, a prophet? How was he related to Abraham? Where did he live? What was the true history of Lot and his relationship with Abraham? Who were his family and who were his people? And how did Allah punish his people? Right? Where can we find the answers? So let's answer using the knowledge of the Quran and the Hadith. And then we will respond with information from the Bible. So the story is repeated many times in the Quran. The answers to all these questions still cannot be found. Since the story of Abraham and Lot intertwine, we must examine them together. It is written in one of the lengthy passages concerning Abraham and Lot in Quran 11:69. And indeed, our messengers came to Abraham with good news. They said, peace. He said, peace. So he did not delay, but brought to Haniz a word without meaning. Calf. So when he saw that their hands did not reach out to it, he disliked them and grew fearful of them. They said, do not fear. Surely we are sent to the people of Lot. Yeah, I once gave someone a calf and they didn't reach out to take it, so I disliked them and grew fearful. I remember that. That's
And I could not figure out why Allah does not think angels, of course, we do not know to be angels, but why Allah does not believe that angels, when they come in the flesh, will eat. I mean, the Genesis accounts very clear. They ate. If an angel can take a body of a human, why can't he eat?
because Islam is ultimately based on Gnosticism, one of the major inputs in Islam, and therefore these perfect spiritual beings don't have bodies. They're not corrupt. They're not corrupted by matter.
But the Quran said about the Virgin Mary that he appeared to her as a normal human. What is a normal human? The,
Well,
the script.
because Muslims will turn around and say he appeared to be. He just looked like
Oh,
he
I'm sorry. Yeah,
was.
he was not. He was not. I got you.
So they appeared, and that would be another Gnostic heresy. My.
Yeah.
So some Muslim scholars say they were angels that just looked like humans. They were deceived by Allah into perceiving, or maybe they just were. But so verse 70 proves that these Muslim scholars are not telling the truth. If they were angels, why did Abraham not like them when they did not eat from the meal he offered them? Is the story true? Did they not eat the meal? So in Genesis 18, we learn the answers to all of the above questions and more. So we would have to read Genesis 18, 1 to 33. Here's a summary. The Lord appeared to Abram at the end of the day by the trees of Mamre, while he was sitting at his tent's door. Abram looked up and saw three men, and he ran to meet them and bowed down to the ground. He asked that if he had found favor in the Lord's sight for them to stay, rest under the tree, and allow him to wash their feet and feed them. When they agreed, Abraham fed them fine cakes, which Sarah prepared along with butter, milk, and a tender calf from his herd. While they were eating under the tree, they asked where Sarah was. Abram answered that she was in the tent. The Lord told Abram that he and Sarah would have a son. Sarah, who had been listening at the tent door, laughed to herself when she heard this. She laughed because she and Abraham were both very old. Then the Lord asked Abram why Sarah had laughed. The Lord asked Abram if there was anything too hard for the Lord to do and told him that she would have a son. Sarah denied that she had laughed because she was afraid, but the Lord told her that she had laughed. The men rose to go to Sodom. Abraham walked with them to send them on their way. The Lord told Abraham what he was going to do. The Lord told Abraham that because the outcry was so great against Sodom and Gomorrah, and their sin was so serious, he was going down to see if they were doing what the outcry claimed. The men went toward Sodom, but Abraham still stood with the Lord. Then Abraham asked the Lord if he would destroy the righteous with the wicked, or if he would spare the place if there were 50 righteous. The Lord said he would spare them if 50 righteous could be found. Abraham continued by asking if the Lord could spare the place if only 45 righteous could be found, and continued the countdown to 10 righteous. Maybe he gets him down to 5 prayers a day. What do you say, Usama?
Yes, I just recorded the same study, believe it or not, just a few days ago for BCY, for my radio broadcast. And I said the reason Muhammad did not put that story in the Quran because he liked it and he kept it for himself in his propaganda ascending to the seven heavens as he met with Allah, and Allah told him 50 prayers. And then he started negotiating with Allah with the advice or with the help of Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, who told Muhammad 50 prayers is too much. And the negotiation took place as we Middle Eastern love to negotiate about everything. And Muhammad ended with 5 daily prayers. And mashallah, I mean, it would be ridiculous if Muhammad repeats the story again instead of using it for himself as a prayers about Abraham and the Lord. And he obviously did not know that Abraham was talking to the Lord anyway. So,
So he takes the same story and he makes it about counting down to, so.
and it's amazing. If you tell Muslims that story here, which is a biblical account, they say, no way, Abraham would talk to Allah. You mean the Lord here in Genesis 18 is Allah? God? No way, makes no sense. But it's okay for Muhammad to speak to Allah about the same thing, using the same numbers.
Yeah, isn't that just sheer coincidence?
Yeah.
The Lord said that he would spare the place if there were only 10. Then the Lord left and Abraham returned home. Notice the visitors whom Muhammad called messengers were three men, but the Bible clarified them to be the Lord and two angels who appeared before Abraham as men. Christian doctrine teaches that the Lord who met Abraham there was actually the incarnate Jesus Christ. They ate the meal which Abraham offered them, not as it is written in the Quran when Muhammad said they did not eat from the meal. And as for the messengers who went to Lot, they were the two angels, and the story is written in Genesis 19. At the end of the previous Quran passage, they told Abraham not to fear, for they were going to the people of Lot.
If you don't mind, brother Lloyd, I'd like to go to John to see the words of our Lord when he spoke about meeting with Abraham. Remember, he told them that he spoke with Abraham, and they mocked him, saying, "You're not even 50 years old. How did you meet with Abraham or know Abraham?" I don't remember what chapter it is, but let me look here. Hopefully, I can find it to you in John chapter what? You can search it online, man. You're so smart. You're so unbelievable. Like really unbelievable. Jesus speaking of himself. Say you're not 50 years. Search for you're not even 50 years old. Can you do that for me? And he talks.
Let me find it here. John 8:57.
8:57. Let me look. John 8:57. I think it's very important to read that for our wonderful audience
Here it
to
is.
know we're not making up stuff. Here we go. 8. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's read from 56, if you don't mind. 56.
Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it, and was glad. Then the Jews said unto him, Thou art not yet 50 years old, and hast thou seen Abraham? Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, or truthfully, truly, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. Then they took up stones to cast at him, but Jesus hid himself and went out of the temple, going through the midst of them, and so passed by.
Yeah. Where in the Bible Jesus said, I am God?
He said, Before Abraham was, I am. Because Muslims want Jesus to say it in those words. They don't understand the context of the language of the day, the symbolism.
I mean, if he is losing his mind, why does he pick up a stone to kill him? I mean, the stone killing in the Jewish faith, it's about blaspheming. He did not blaspheme. He lost his mind.
Yeah, the Sanhedrin wanted to kill him for blasphemy, for claiming he was the Son of God.
Yeah. Even when he said the Son of Man, the high priest cut his clothes because it's
because he's claiming he is God.
Yeah.
So the I am, he's claiming to be God.
All right. So, thanks for reading that passage from John chapter 8. I appreciate you for doing that. And let's move on to the book.
All right. So Quran 11, 71 to 73. And his woman, wife, was standing by, so she laughed. So we gave her the good news of Isaac, and after Isaac, Jacob. She said, Oh, woe is to me now.
It is so amazing that Muslims do not understand that their Quran come from the Bible, but sometimes Muhammad write it in so ridiculous way. Ridiculous. I mean, just think about what we just read here in verse 71, and it's coming down.
Yeah, and after Isaac, Jacob, right? And she said, Oh, woe is to me. I will bear a son when I'm old, and when my husband is old. Surely this is a wonderful thing. They said, Do you wonder at the command of Allah? The mercy of Allah and his blessings are on you, the people of the house. Surely he is praised, glorious. Right. So, verse 71, Sarah laughed. We have to ask why. It seems to me the reason is when Muhammad heard the story, he knew that Sarah laughed, but the order in which the verse was written is strange. Shouldn't she laugh after they tell her she will have a baby? Will a person laugh before the joke is told? Maybe that's an Arab thing?
No, we don't. That's crazy thing, okay? Don't insult the Arabs. They're nice people. They have logic and common sense there. Some.
Okay, did she cry or did she shout and strike her face when she heard she would have a baby? That's what the Quran stated in 51:29, where it is written. So his wife came in shouting and she struck her face and she said, Old, barren. So when Muslims read these two different verses, how do they reconcile the contradiction in describing?
They don't ask. That's why you will never have a problem with the contradiction, brother. This
Yeah,
doesn't. It's the perfect word of Allah. She laughed, she cried. What difference does it make?
so Muslims obviously have to regard contradictions as normal. So they see our logic as bizarre.
Yeah, it's true. Mhm.
Yeah, everything in Islam is upside down. Once again, we must turn to Genesis 18 to see exactly what took place in this portion of the life of Abraham. When the Lord told Abraham that he and Sarah would have a son, Sarah was standing by the tent door. Abraham and Sarah were very old, and she was well past the age of childbearing. Upon hearing she would bear a son, she laughed to herself, thinking how she at that age could bear a child. Then the Lord asked Abraham why Sarah laughed at having a child at her age. He then asked Abraham if there was anything too hard for the Lord and assured him that Sarah would have a son. Then Sarah denied that she had laughed because she was afraid. But the
Sure.
Lord told her yes, she had laughed. So in verse 12, we see that Sarah did not laugh out loud, but she actually laughed within her heart because the matter was laughable. How can a woman in her 90s have a child? That is not an unusual reaction because Abraham laughed outwardly as he spoke in his heart, saying, as it is written in Genesis 17, that Abraham fell upon his face and laughed and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? So
And
why
by
did
the
Sarah
way,
lie when? Yeah,
the name Isaac means laughter. I mean, literally, the subject is a laughter. You know, you could not have a son when you're 90 years old for a woman. Yeah.
yeah. So why did Sarah lie when the Lord told Abraham that she had laughed? The answer is very simple. In Genesis 18:15, we read that she lied because she was afraid. Notice the difference between the writings of the Holy Bible and what is written in the Quran. Not only does the Bible
It's still
not,
holy. The Quran is holy because it have holes in it. I should
yeah,
see. I should put holy and in between bracket have holes. But that's okay. It's too late now. I can't edit my
yeah, hopefully
picture.
we can clarify exactly the holes in it and
Yeah.
explain why it's holy, like the socks I'm wearing,
Oh, you have
holy in that
holy
way.
socks.
Yeah, so the Quran is holy like my socks. It's the same kind of holiness. Don't ask for evidence, okay? Because just believe what I tell you. I say this for your own good.
Okay, okay. I don't have to smell it either, so we're good. Leave it that way.
Just when you think of the Quran, think of holy like Lloyd's
Socks.
socks.
Holy Lloyd Holy's socks. How many socks do you have holes in them? All of them?
Um,
Majority.
well, we're here to talk about this book, okay? So let's focus on the topic.
You start the subject. You make me so interested to learn more.
We're not here to discuss my personal habits or
Okay,
my
okay.
lack of socks.
No problem.
So
Let's move on.
I'm
Let's
just trying
move
to
on.
make a point. I'm trying to illustrate the point that.
And I got the point. I got the sound and imagination and everything. Yeah.
So now the Bible doesn't contain any inconsistencies. The Bible is a very consistent story.
And we're not, and Lloyd, we're not talking about simple inconsistency. In one place in the Quran, she laughed. In another place, she cried and slapped her face. When she laughed before she figured out what's going to be the joke to laugh about. And amazing, when Muslim scholars read, I don't know if I wrote it or not, maybe I did not write it. They will tell you three reasons why she laughed. Maybe she laughed because she feels sorry for the people of Sodom and Gomorrah and what's coming to them. I said, what an evil woman. If you find out that the next door city is going to be destroyed, going to be burned to the ground, will you laugh? Oh, she laughed because Abraham got afraid. I mean, what kind of husband she have? She insulted her husband because he got afraid from the people. She said, "We have lots of men; they can take them out." See the mentality. Muslim scholars invent interpretation to correct the errors of Muhammad in the Quran, and Muslims believe it. Oh, it could be this other reasons. When in reality, Muhammad was copying the Quran, and he made plenty of contradictions in the pages of the Quran. Forget about the Bible contradicts the Quran. You know what, Brother Lloyd? I said that many times in the past. If the story in the Bible is different than the story in the Quran, it could be the truth in the Quran, and the Bible has been changed, and the Bible has been corrupted. But what do you do when you read your Quran? And it's not just in one story, it's in every story. It's not just in one page, it's in every page. There is contradictions. You cannot tell me that the Quran is still the perfect word of Allah.
No, I've given the time that we've spent discussing the brain dead narrative in the Quran. I mean, it's very hard to think that this is a story that's written by God himself.
Yeah. When I named that book The Revelation of Error, I could not find a more perfect title because the entirety of the Quran is nothing but a chain of errors.
Yeah, I agree. No, so you have a very consistent biblical story that makes sense in and of itself, even if someone doesn't believe it necessarily. Whereas the
Yeah,
Quran, every chapter, every time the story is retold, it adds or removes details and gives you a different story, and the sequence is all wrong. So you've got a constant change in the narrative plus a change in the sequence, which doesn't make sense.
sure.
So at least the Bible tells a coherent story. So now, yeah, and so I don't know what these authors were doing, what Allah's copywriters were doing. Quran 11:74 to 76. When Abraham's fear had gone and the good news had reached him, he disputed with us for the people of Lot. Surely Abraham was meek. Awa,
May the word. You
often
go hit
turning.
74. Touch 74, please.
Abraham was often turning. Hold on, hang on a second. I need to be like Abraham. Give me one moment. I want to be
No, no,
like
no,
Abraham.
no, no. I'm getting dizzy. I
Wait, wait,
mean,
wait, wait,
hit
wait. One more. You see, I was turning just like Abraham. I was often turning.
no. The word here means to repent, to come back to Allah. If you touch 74, we'll give you that what the word mean, but that's okay.
A word
74.
without meaning.
Okay, touch the 74 again. Now we're back. All right, good.
Right. O Abraham, leave this. Surely indeed the command of your Lord came back, and surely the torment will come from them. It will not be turned back. He disputed with us. You can do it too, says, okay. So, yeah, I mean, if everything I'm saying, or if anything we say here makes no sense, it's because the text makes not a lot of
No,
sense either.
yeah,
So, really, yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to take this seriously because it's such a terrible narrative.
yeah.
Abraham disputed with the messengers concerning the people of Lot.
And that
What was
itself is an error. Why? Because in the Genesis account, we know that the two angels already left. It's only the Lord and Abraham.
so?
It's not messengers, it's singular. Disputed with me or with I.
But is Allah the royal we here? Disputed with us? I thought Allah is.
No, but
Allah like
the messenger here, brother, the messenger is not Allah in the Quran. It's just a messenger. You can say we is Allah, but not we, that messenger. Muhammad did not believe he's speaking to Yahweh. He was speaking to, to the Lord Jesus Christ. He's speaking to one of the messenger. But he made it, Muhammad did know that two already left. That is a problem. He did not have deep knowledge of what he's talking about. He just have an idea. Those who helped Muhammad read the Quran, they heard the story. They're missing the details.
I mean,
And that's when he gets
they just grabbed these stories and then just use them to
Fill the
manipulate
pages.
others, basically, to push a message.
Yeah.
So Abraham disputed with the messengers concerning the people of Lot. What was the dispute about? What was the conversation? Ibn Isaac or Ibn Ishaq said that Abraham disputed with the messengers by saying, "Will you destroy a village and therein 300 believers?" And they said, "No."
Now,
He
listen to
said,
this. When you destroy a village, that shows that Ibn Isaac was a scholar. He's dumb. We're talking about 5 cities, not a village. You see, the information of the Quran is not there. The interpretation show me is that the person who's trying to interpret the Quran is ignorant of the story. 5 cities is not a village. A village is not a
yeah,
5
but you see,
cities.
villages were much bigger back then. And now in the modern era, villages, like for instance, 9-year-olds back 1400 years ago were 25. Now they're
Yeah.
9. But back then, nine meant
Same
3
thing.
times old.
Same thing. Because the
It's different.
weather, heat and the cold.
It
And
was very hot. So when it was hotter, cities were bigger. But now that it's
so,
colder with global cooling,
so,
the cities have contracted and only village sized.
so 5 cities then equal to 1 village today. Oh, I'm sorry. One
Pretty
village
much.
today
Pretty
is
much.
there.
Look, you know, the Middle East consisted of 4 people and a goat.
I got you. I got you. I made a
Goat.
mistake, man. I'm sorry. I
It's
made a mistake.
things have advanced. We've now moved into a more advanced era.
All right. All right.
You know,
I'm
I
learning.
mean, I'm still struggling to get out of the crayon phase and move towards. It's hard. It's hard. I mean, development is tough. So give these people some credit here. You know,
Are
they.
there any Muslim listening to us, Brother Lloyd? Are any Muslim listening to us in the last whatever programs we did together? We did what, 30? Well, I have no idea how many
We had
programs we did.
several. Yeah.
What is when they write to you? What does he say?
I mean, it's the usual bluster. It's never a considered analysis. It's just that's wrong. You're wrong. You're a liar. You hate Islam. You hate Muslims. It's pretty much the.
Okay, then I got it. Then I got it. We're doing good. We're doing good.
So then he said no. 40 believers, and they said no. He said 14 believers. They said no.
Wait,
Ibn
wait a
Ishaq.
minute. How can you change from 100 to 40 to 14? Why is he changing numbers? Why does he make up new number? Why even Isaac will not tell us what is in Genesis? Because he gives the answer. Because he knows Muhammad used these numbers in his own story. So it will make Muhammad look bad. But anyway, it's just life.
You know yeah.
Yeah.
So what if there was just one believer and they said no? So where did
Wait
this
a minute. Wait a minute. Lot is not a believer? The messenger
Lot?
of Allah, Prophet Lot, was not a believer?
There were no Muslims back then, so he couldn't have been a Muslim. Therefore, he wasn't a believer. So they were going to just nuke the whole lot.
I
They were going to nuke
love
it
you
from
with
space,
your
dude.
fabrication.
This was nuke from orbit. So
Listen, Lloyd, you're greater than Ibn Isaac himself. Go ahead, keep going.
yeah, no, dude. I listen to Muslims. Muslims tell me all the time. I mean,
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
So where did this great Muslim scholar Ibn Ishaq come with these numbers? Quran 29:32. He said, "Surely Lot is in it." They said, "We know best who is in it." Okay.
It's
Muslim
like
interpreters.
it's like Abraham is telling God who is in the city. Hey, listen, your wife is at home. Yeah, I know my wife is home. She's sitting next to me. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, they said, "We know best." Muslim
Yeah, he know
interpreters
best.
said the angels, whom they named Gibberish and Mikael and Israfil, went from Abraham to the land of Sodom with the appearance of beautiful, young, good-looking young dudes. These guys just had, these guys that just had the tightest physiques. I
You
can just see the
stop
whole
it,
thing
man.
though.
You stop it. It makes me so upset.
Yeah, that beautiful. Why would they want to add that little detail?
That's what Allah is emphasizing on in the Quran. That's where the scholars come up with. See, Allah is trying to find a good excuse to punish these people, so he have to tempt them. And if he tempt them, then he found a reason why to punish them, as if they have not yet left in homosexuality for years.
Beautiful young men. They had to send some beautiful young men to this place. Sure. Okay. Yeah, with the appearance of beautiful young men as a temptation from Allah for the people of Lot, because he wanted to prove the accusation against them. And Allah was the tempter
It's like
in
think
this.
about it for a second. If Allah is God and He's in control of the whole earth, will the earth tell him what to do? Will a clay tell the potter, the guy who make a different different instrument, different thing? What are you doing with me? If God wanted to destroy the entire earth, somebody has to say, how dare you, God, to do that to us? He really need to find an excuse. Well, why not Allah just takes the excuse about all these men sleeping with these other men? Hey, you've been sleeping with this. No. I have to tempt them again. Allah have to bring this beautiful, nice, hot-looking guys who's gonna walk like gays, so the men will like them. Then Allah now find excuse to punish it. This is so stupid.
Yeah,
Anyway,
they asked Lot if they could be his guests. I mean,
see,
the fact that Allah is the tempter, that Allah deliberately sets to entrap people.
that's what it is.
You know,
If we decide to destroy a village, we cause its affluence, the people in charge, to sin, so we can punish the entire village for it. There's no justice in Islam. If Allah want to destroy a city, He makes the leader of the city commit some sin, and then He punishes the city with the leaders who committed the sin. What a just Allah! What a just God!
but that's not. No, that's.
But notice the details scholars given us. It's not in the Quran, and it is the opposite of the Bible. in that. So they asked Lot if they could be his guest. In the Bible, Lot begged them to be his guest. Said, "No, no, we're gonna stay here all night in the street." And he convinced him after forced him to go to his house. Here, scholars of Islam give you the opposite. For what purpose? Is it because the Quran said that? No, just to make the Bible look wrong. What a foolish
That's a good point.
fabrication.
I mean, it's like when they claim to revere Jesus. I mean, lately I've been seeing a lot of "we revere Jesus." It's like they have these, I don't know, the memo goes out and they all start with one particular narrative, and it's all about the "we revere Jesus," the Christians don't. And you're like, no, you demote Jesus. You deny the crucifixion. You deny the
Insulting
resurrection. You
Jesus,
undermine
God
everything.
Almighty, every time you open your mouth.
Yeah. So this was about sunset. So he was afraid that if he did not host them, that someone else would host them and presumably assault them sexually. And he thought they were human. That is why it's written in Quran 11:77. And when our messengers came to Lot, he was troubled because of them. And his arm was tight, and he said, "This is a dreadful day." He had a tight arm. I can see how that's a problem.
The word tight means short. Tight means I could not help you. I do not know what to do. I'm struggling.
My hands are tied.
Yeah, my hand is
Yeah.
tight. I cannot do it.
Tada said that the messengers came to Lot as he was working on his land and asked him to host them. He tried everything to get them to leave and go to another village. He said to them 4 times that the people of this city were schemers, and the messengers were ordered not to destroy them until their prophet witnessed against them.
Oh, now they got the Prophet Lot, this testimony against them. It is so ridiculous. And you listen to Qatada or Ibn Kassir, all the people, you think they were there. And you say, Qatada, were you? Yeah, I was there. It was afternoon. It was start raining. I can't remember exactly what happened. I mean, how did he know he was working? How did he know they went to the field? How did he know all these details which Allah does not know in the Quran? Was Qatada also another messenger from Allah, like Muhammad?
He had it. It was written in the Injil, but then he lost it shortly after.
Yeah, must be.
Yep. A different interpretation is given by Al-Sadi. He said the angels left Abraham and came in the middle of the day towards the people of Lot. So when they arrived at the Sodom River, they met with Lot's daughter.
Sodom River? In Jordan, there's Sodom River?
Yeah, that's by the rivers of Babylon where they sat down.
Exactly. Yep, I remember. Yeah.
The Lot's daughter was called Boni M.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's something like close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough.
The more details they give me, the more I am sick of it. So anyway, so Lot's daughter, she was bringing water, yeah, for the family, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was only 3 years old, and she carried water for 10 or 20 camels, and because she was only 3 years old,
Look, they give us the name of the daughter of Lot, even though the Bible never mentions him. It's just so ridiculous, man. It's just so ridiculous. Like they gave us the name of the ants, which was limping when she talked to Solomon. I mean, and they know these people are scholars because Muslims are stupid. I'm not kidding you. The only
that's
reason
because they don't read the Bible. They don't actually read the Bible.
Huh?
You've got to be amazed how they claim to be. We are comparative religious scholars, and you're like, have you actually read it, or you're just trying to gotcha us with quotes?
Yeah. See.
So the older was named Rita, and the younger was named Zarata. So they said to her, "Oh, young lady, is there a house?"
You know what Zarata means?
No.
That's the one who fart all the time.
You know what? I didn't need to know that. That is now too much information.
It's too much of yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I just thought Zarata.
Fragile emotion. No. I have a responsibility to protect the fragile emotional states of the people that listen to this channel. Starting.
You need to beep when you hear me talk about. I say beep. Beep it out so nobody know what I said. Okay, keep going.
I need to get something that makes noise, and I got to figure out something.
Yeah, most likely you need to do that. Absolutely, protect your people, man.
Yeah. So Bernadette says, yeah, Muhammad used Allah as his psychic. Whatever situation he found himself in, he miraculously received the message from Allah. Very conveniently so. Very conveniently.
Yes.
So anyway, so what's her name? Whoever, Rita or Farata,
Yeah.
she asked them to wait at the gate of the city. She ran to her father to tell him about how beautiful they were. Oh, these guys are gorgeous, Dad. Oh my God.
Woohoo! Daddy, I want to marry him. Yeah.
And that she was concerned that Lot's people may take them, grab them, and do that's okay. That's disturbing. So Lot brought them to his home so that no one would know about them except his household. His wife went out and told her people. She said, "In the house."
Ah, see, she's an evil woman. As Allah stated in the Quran, she was a wife of a prophet, but she was an evil woman. She cheated on him. Look what she's doing. Go ahead.
That is terrible. No, that's terrible. So she said, "In the house of Lot, there are men who are so beautiful. I never saw such beautiful faces." So they came
Ooh,
rushing to Lot's house.
yes, get them out for us.
So, from what sources do those who are called the scholars come up with such strange interpretations? Where do they get all these additional details? How do they all make up their own
Yeah,
stories?
and it's not just this, Lloyd. Think about if you give me 3 or 4. By the way, in some of these interpretations, there's 10 more other stories. But I saw it is ridiculous to mention more than 3 or 2 or 3 or the most I ever said is 4. Okay, but imagine if you're a Muslim with some logic or common sense and you believe in your advocacy so badly, who's quoting these wonderful people, okay? And you come up with 3 or 4 or 10 different interpretations for the same verse of the Quran. Don't that does this not make you doubt that that guy is telling the truth? He's lying. 10 different stories. Which one is the right one?
They're all right. They
I
all
yeah, I understand.
because Allah knows best, and it's and
So in Allah's wisdom to give us too many contradictory story to interpret a verse does not exist in the Quran, and they're all right. It must be true.
like I said, the idea of logic. They look at us and go, "We have no idea what's going on," because I think they look at logic as just weird when they look at their error as normal.
Yeah.
And where did they get the names of these children? That is a good question. Where did this information come from?
Any information, anything Muslims say, it's not in the Quran, it's not in the Hadith. They made it up.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, where does, what is the source of their information? Where do they get this information from? I mean, I'd love to know. So, the people of Lot hastened to his house to have sex with his guests. Really? Lot said, "These are my daughters. They are pure for you. So, here, have my kitty." Radio. Muslim
Here's
scholars.
the truth. Here's Brother Lloyd. I'm going to say this. According to the Bible, yes, Lot offered his 2 daughters. But according to Islam, that does not make any sense. Why? Because Muslims believe Prophet Lot is a prophet. And they also believe that prophet or messengers, which
Oh,
is greater
perfect.
position than prophet, do not sin. So how can a prophet of Allah who does not sin give his own 2 daughters to some guys in the city? Or you're going to hear now the fabrication by Muslims cause what he meant by my daughters. These are my daughters. When in reality, in Christianity, we believe prophets sin and we don't believe Lot was a prophet. End of the story. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah, these are my daughters. They are pure for you. Muslim scholars claim he meant that he was leading them to have sex with their own wives, not his daughters. Ah, that makes sense.
See, you see how it works? Excuse me.
For as a
These
prophet to the
men do
nation,
not
he had.
have wives, Lloyd. These men,
Right.
like men, they're not married, cheating on the side with the other guys. They were living with men with men, women with women. They did not have wife and husband.
Yeah, so for as a prophet to the nation, he had the position like a father, and all the girls are his daughters.
Oh, yes. He's a prophet, and they really liked him and they believed him, except these guys.
Yeah, yeah, that's the daughters of Moses, the daughters of Abraham. Yeah, we're all the daughters of Elisha and the daughters of
Like,
everybody.
like Muhammad was also the father of all these daughters. That's why he can have them in bed.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
See?
the daughters of Allah, the sons of Allah, the sons of, yeah. Yeah, you are
Sure.
nobody's father. Muhammad is nobody's father, and Aisha is nobody's mother, and yeah, all of that makes perfect sense now. That makes
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
Yeah. So this is the result of an assumption that Lot was a prophet, so that Muslims can claim that the ladies of the city were his daughters. So he's not a prophet until he suddenly becomes one.
Yeah.
Right. And the Bible teaches us that this was not the case, for he was not thought to be a prophet. Yeah, what prophecy did he give? Oops, I made a mistake there. Something happened.
Control Z.
Okay. No, I accidentally scratched out. Let me just fix that. So this cannot be true, right? So, second, it is an excellent fabrication, but it will not pass a simple test. Muslim scholars interpret that there was not one pure person in the city, so how could Lot say pure daughters?
Well,
Well, you
but see,
see,
when they said not one pure, he meant one man, not one daughter. All the ladies in the city were pure, but the men were not.
so this is all very convenient interpretations. How about we just work on what the text actually says?
Well, that is impossible because the text says nothing.
So villainous knows the Bible is corrupted. Yeah, but yeah, okay, fine. You know what? You're right. You got us there. You got us there. That's why we have to rely on things like
Quran.
the Dead Sea Scrolls, or the millions of quotations of the Bible by external sources from which the Bible
Who
can be
did not believe in
reconstructed.
the Bible, by the way. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
Externals.
So I mean, so where do Muslims get their argument? It's like it's just when you defeat them, they just go somewhere else and recycle the same argument all over again.
You're lying. You're not telling the truth. You're lying.
Why is it, Usama, that whenever Muslims on YouTube, on social media, whatever the case is, they will make up a big story and I'll say, wait, hold on. Tell you what, you say I'm lying, you say I'm wrong. How about I give you a chance to come on YouTube and I will give you the time to prove to the whole world with the facts why I'm lying, why I'm wrong. Bring your
They're,
sources. And
they're
they
not gonna
never
show
do
up.
that.
They're not gonna show up because then you embarrass them. I had one time, and actually I said, "Come on camera." He will not come on camera. It's like,
Yeah,
why?
it's
I
like,
said, "Some guy's gonna kill you." I am the guy's gonna get killed by people like you, and I am on camera. Why can't you go on camera? I want to see your face. Who are you?
it's
I
like
said, if you're a child, you look like a kid. I'm not gonna have you on my channel. You have to be over 18. Yeah, but anyway.
yeah. No, I mean you can't get this from the source text. And then Muslims will say, oh, it's only the Quran is valid. You're like, so where do you get the names of Muhammad's wives? Is that all lies? Because that's not all in the Quran. They, they come on camera and prove me I'm a liar. Prove it. I'm happy to give you the time. So far, nobody has accepted it. I've got 5 years now. My channel's 8 years old. So in 5 years that I've been active on the channel, like no one's done that.
You will
It's
get
like
someone who disqualified to speak on Islam. You will get some people who do not know jack about Islam, and that's a problem.
that has frustrated me. I've had people have gone on other channels on YouTube that do apologetics like this, and they have a guy who's making up his own random version of Islam. And you're like, what's the point? No one believes this
Yeah.
except this guy.
What's his name? Guy named in Texas. He actually came all the way to my church to debate me. It's like he does not know jack about Islam, and he's trying to make himself big names. Some guy I can't even remember his name now. He's going to be debating Adam Seeker coming up soon. And I don't know why Adam will debate him because Nadir, yeah, his name is Nadir. What is that? Does not speak Arabic, does not believe in the interpretation of the scholars of Islam, does not believe in the Hadith. He believes in his own fabrication of the Quran. Wow. How in the
What
world are you going to debate a guy
authority does he have? Who does he speak for?
for himself?
Exactly. So, yeah. So, Lot had to be a prophet so that Muslims can claim that all of the ladies of the city were his daughters. Great. Where'd that suddenly come from? And this is not the case. This is in the Bible as such. For he was not thought to be a prophet, not by God or the people of the city. Second, is an excellent fabrication, but it will not pass a test. So Muslim scholars interpreted that there was not one pure person. So how are Lot's daughters pure? And not just Lot's born daughters, but the daughters of Lot.
The whole city, the
Yeah,
entire
the whole
city is
city is there.
girls. Yes, pure.
And the
Yeah.
Quran said there was not one person was pure, but here Lot in the Quran said, "These are my daughters; they are pure for you," because he's referring to everybody.
All
Yeah,
the girls in the county. Yeah.
yeah. So this indicates that Lot was speaking of his own daughters, not the other women in the city. There were no pure women according to the angels. Ibn Kathir stated that what is written in the Genesis account concerning the messengers, in that they were the two angels and they ate dinner with Lot, is erroneous and confusing, and is a great lie of the people of the.
You see, the Bible is wrong because the Quran is the truth. And you
Yeah,
can't handle the truth, brother. You can't handle
you
the
know,
truth.
yeah, you're right. I'm having difficulty dealing with the truth of the Quran right now. And you can do it too, says there's no Aisha in the Quran, but Abu Lahab is there. Yeah, yeah. Didn't he invent Coca-Cola or something important? I'm sure. Abu Lahab. You
Amazing.
know him, right? Everyone knows him.
Mhm. Amazing. Muhammad hated his uncle and causes people to curse him the last 1400 years. Even though the man is dead, they use that in their prayers. Curse Abu Lahab. Yeah.
Well, I mean, his uncle didn't buy him a bicycle when Muhammad was 5. He really wanted that bicycle.
You get upset. I can imagine you'll hurt inside. You'll be hurt in your feelings.
Yep.
Mm.
Billah says they recycle the same ideas because as a non-Muslim you're a half-brain najas kafir, therefore you can't be right, and that's really true. You know, what's interesting? I have people who say, "Well, what about the Talmud?" And then you quote them, you show them explicitly what Islam wants,
Sure.
which is far worse than anything that is
Yeah.
supposedly in the Talmud, and then they will just flat out ignore anything from Islam, like it's okay. It's okay when Muslims do it. Like,
Muhammad was not doing a research paper. Muhammad was fabricating, and his scholars are not doing interpretation. They're doing extra fabrication. In all the paper I wrote in my college years, I have to quote the source, the name of the book, the name of the publisher, the year of the publishing, the number of the page. And when I quote the statement, I put it between quotation, word for word. I cannot change it. And if I paraphrase it, I have to clarify that I'm paraphrasing because it's a long passage. I'm trying to make it short, summarizing. But these people here, they're called scholars. They don't know what is to be a scholar.
yeah, I call them scholars, but yeah, because
That's
that
good.
seems to be the
Yeah. Mhm.
right. So the stories of Lot and the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah are written throughout the Quran. Even if you read every one of these stories, these repeated stories, you cannot
Yeah.
find an answer to these questions because the details of this story are not. Why do I feel like I'm on repeat? The details are not there. The details are missing. It doesn't have
Because
the
that's the
ages, the lengths,
story
the
of
sizes.
that book. That is the story of the Quran. You will never, I promise you, after we finish with Abraham, we're going to go to the rest of the stories. All the
I
same.
mean,
Same broken
imagine I
record.
tell you the story of Noah. Hi, this is Noah. Noah liked to wear brown shoes and he liked to wear a green caftan. And Noah had a kid called Jamie and he had a little dog. That's the story of Noah. I'm glad we've taught you all about Noah, everything you need to know about Noah. And you're like, didn't Noah have a boat? How big was the boat? like, isn't there supposed to be some details about this boat in this story? Like,
We
why is the
already
Quran
covered now,
missing all
remember?
the details?
There was nothing about Noah except repeating missing information. Go ahead.
Yeah, but then if so, hold on. So if the Quran didn't have to repeat all of the information that already existed in the Bible,
Nope.
then that means the Bible is valid.
See the problem, yeah. The problem is Muhammad did not know what is written in the Bible. He heard little bits and pieces here and there, and he took it and he repeated and he repeated and he repeated. You read the story 10 times, and you still don't have the story because you still do not have the information which is in the original
Like,
account.
man, the most obvious questions that you should know about the boat. It's like it's all missing. Like, Shouldn't we
But,
have
but,
basic?
but when he even talk about the boat in a verse, you're talking about boards and nails, where we know for sure there was not one nail. I went to the museum, the Creation Museum, and I asked the guy that question. I thought I got him, but he didn't. He got me. I said, "How many? I wonder how many nails were used to build Noah's Ark?" And he said, "None." I said, "But Allah in the Quran said boards and nails." I mean, simple information like that. You think that Allah, that Muhammad will figure out there was no nails. It was made with holes and woods and pigs and glue. No nails. But who you talk to? You know, Allah got it wrong. Muhammad got it wrong. Anyway, no information about the boat. And then when he mentions something, it is 100% dead wrong.
Yeah, and Noah was the boozing prophet who fell over drunk. So perfect prophets. Yeah, I mean none of this makes so yeah. So as we've seen in Muslim scholars' interpretations, there are so many inconsistencies and contradictions. Not to mention those famous holes. Again, how do we know the true story? Well, answer is simple. Read the true account of Lot from the Bible as recorded in Genesis 19, 1 to 38. And then we don't have to add any commentary because the story is written clearly and plainly. A simple reading of the 38 verses will tell us all we need to know about Lot and Sodom and Gomorrah. So read the entire passage of the Genesis account, and we will, though, highlight a few important points that will be repeated later. There were two angels sent to Lot who appeared like men. Lot invited them to his house and he ate with them. The men of the city asked Lot to give his visitors to them that night that they might have sex with them, but Lot refused and instead offered to give them his own daughters. Then they threatened Lot, indicating that they would do worse to him than to the visitors. Okay, that's a nasty bunch. That's okay. That's definitely not friendly. The two men forced Lot into his house and struck the wicked men of the city with blindness. Then the two men told Lot to leave the city. The angels commanded Lot, his wife, and two daughters to escape the city and not to look back. However, Lot's wife looked back and became a pillar of salt. In verse 24, we read that Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed by rain of brimstone and fire. Have you seen they've discovered Sodom and Gomorrah,
Yeah,
they've discovered,
brand new
and
archaeological
it literally
discovery of the boat.
was
Yep,
burning stuff that fell on the city.
big sulfur, big piece of sulfur, big as
Yeah, I've seen it. It's amazing. I mean, you look at the archaeology that's been discovered, and you're like, something fell from the sky, something rained down on the city,
yeah.
something burned.
But by the way, in the Quran, I'm not sure if I wrote it or not, but different way of judgment. Allah mentioned, I don't know, I believe 3 or 4 different ways of how He judged the people of Lot, and not one of them have this what is written in the Bible. They're made up, all made up. God help me, man.
This is frustrating. I find it frustrating to read stuff. It's like
I feel so. God's my witness. I'm frustrated for myself, but I feel so sorry for the Muslim who never read the Genesis account. And the scholars of Islam, the imams and the mullah and the sheikh will tell them, don't you dare read the Bible, because they know the scholars of Islam who are living today, they know if the Muslim will open the Genesis account and read, for example, these 38 verses, they're going to laugh at the Quran. They're going to leave that and stick with the Bible. But the best thing, don't read the Bible. It's corrupted. That's it. We got the truth and the word of Allah in the Quran. End of story.
yeah.
Sick.
So
Sick.
verse 32 is to Muslims one of the most controversial passages in the Bible. They literally use the passage to attack the Holy Bible by stating the Bible teaches incest. Well, that's fascinating, but it's odd that they say the Bible says, or Rebecca, or pick your person, but Muhammad is the one who married a 6-year-old. Had he only had marital relations with her at 9 because she fell ill. Otherwise, he would have stuck it in her at 6.
Sure. Well, and the limit in Islam is if she will be able to have him in. So if a girl is
But
7,
that's an
8, 9, whatever
entirely
the age.
subjective decision. That's an entirely subjective decision.
Yeah.
I mean, there is no lower age limit in the
And,
Sharia. I mean, literally, infants are fair game.
yeah, and sadly, I hope we don't have any children listen to what I'm saying. Some of these girls do not have their body change because of the force as they become with one hole instead of 2 separate holes. And that is in their scholars' writings.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how ridiculous it become in Islam. So, anyway, it's part of life because these men are sick.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and he did. He fondled her in the bath for 3 years. That's yeah, I guess that is also true. We also get all sorts of fun practices and ideas from there. So also we have the Ten Commandments, right? Or the Ten Statements, however you want to phrase it. But thou shalt not commit sexual immorality, right? And that is considered sexual immorality. And Jesus at no time, none of his apostles ever displayed the example of having female sex slaves, having child female sex slaves,
and
or anything of the sort.
the lies Muslim give, Lloyd, that it was a norm in Muhammad day for men to be married to the 6, 7, 8 years old children. It's a very normal. Excuse me. It was a norm in Lot day. Men have sex with men. Does that mean that Lot should be involved sexually with other men? I mean, what is it? Is a norm? And the funny thing is, give me the name. Give me a name of one of the companion of Muhammad, one of the successor of Muhammad, who had been married to a 6 years old child. None. None. Not just in his days, everybody was doing it. You could not give me one name.
Right. And I mean, her father was like, "Well, I don't really want you to do this." And then Muhammad says, like, "Well,
Yeah, he
I'm
said to him, you are my brother. He said, yeah, in the religion, yeah, 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 but Allah want me to have her.
yeah,
And then
and you don't
Muhammad,
want to upset Allah now, do you? Because you could end up with your hand out on a spike."
yeah. And he know how Muhammad invented this dream he have where the green silk fabric came down from heaven 3 times. And he walked to it and he found Aisha inside it. Allah is giving Aisha to Muhammad, even his dream. Same biblical account of Peter and the
Disturbing.
vision in the book of Acts, chapter 9 or 10. I mean, it's
This
like
is
they copying everything.
Yeah, man, it's an inversion. It's just criminally corrupt. So when the Bible talks about the sins of men and women, it does not promote sin. It describes the history of what took place and the moral lessons which we can learn so that we will not perform the same sin. For example, Peter denied Jesus 3 times and then repented. Jesus forgave and restored him. That does not teach us to deny Jesus. It simply records the history of what took place in Peter's life.
In Peter's life.
Yeah, when we read about the sin of many kings, like Muslims will claim, well, look at this king did this. This king married a, I don't know, 3-year-old, whatever. Okay, did that king found Christianity? Is his name Jesus? Is there some kind of parallel or equivalence here that I need to figure out? It's like, yeah, so one person's error is now supposedly the example for the founder of the religion. Like, oh, no.
But in the case of Muhammad, his error of being a being what do you call this, a child molester or a pedophile, it became the tradition. It became the sunnah of the rest of the Muslims. You see
Yeah.
here?
Are the companions mentioned in the Quran?
No, no mention of the companions.
Okay, so if only the Quran is right and all of these other sources like the Hadiths are just fake stories that are weak and that is Sahih, brother, and not Sahih, it's Daif. And how can you quote, I only believe in the Quran, and then how can we believe in the companions if it's not in the Quran?
Good question. Good question.
Because Muslims are just lying to you. That's just an argument they use to deny what's embarrassing, and then, yeah, but they're not interested in being consistent. They're just interested in winning an argument.
And move on. That's
Yeah,
life.
Injil, but if can you get us a fragment from the Injil, maybe one page, half a sentence, a piece of parchment from the Injil, a comment that someone wrote about it historically?
But they believe in the real Injil, Isa's Injil, man.
No. Yeah, but something for which they have literally no evidence. Literally no
That is the
evidence. How
beauty
can
of
they believe
Islam.
in something they have no evidence for? Not a single scrap of evidence.
Listen, Lloyd. The foundation of Islam, Muslims say in the Arabic language, I bear witness that there is no God except Allah. I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. They have zero evidence for that, but that is the foundation of Islam. It is a cult built on one thing. It's called lies.
Yeah. I mean, what external evidence, as villainous asks, is there for anything from the first century of Islam? I
Nothing.
mean,
We don't even know if Muhammad ever exists. We don't know if Mecca ever exists. We do not know if the Quran is written in Muhammad days or I actually know for sure that the Quran is written hundreds of years after Muhammad. Some of the verses added to the Quran have to be 500-600 years after Muhammad,
yeah.
which we have
I mean,
today.
there's been very credible analyses done that the Quran is at least finished 200 years after the supposed death of Muhammad.
Not
At
finished.
least
You
200.
cannot say, brother, you cannot say finished. When you go for Quran chapter
The
18
chainmail
about
stuff.
the young man slept in the cave, they took their money paper to the market. That was exist 500 years after
Yeah.
Muhammad died. So there's
What
no
about
way
the
that
chainmail stuff? About the chainmail, which wasn't created until what, the 1100s, 1000s? So that's
yeah,
400, 500 years after Muhammad.
it's a comedy. The whole book is a comedy. The more I dig into it, the more I said, well, you know what? I'm wasting my time. I know enough. Let me usually not let's see. Once in a while you get itchy, Let's look at this part. Here's another error. Let's look at this verse. Here's another error. It's like unending problem. It's a
Yeah, there's
holes
scholars,
that's so big
academic.
that there is no body to look into any more holes.
I mean, academics should have laughed this book out of the room by now. They should have criticized it to death by now, just on the basis
Yes,
of
and
legitimate
let
errors.
me repeat myself, Lloyd. The only reason Muslims believe in the Quran because they never studied it. The miracle of Islam, as I heard it from you, is that somebody believed in that book. That is a miracle.
Yeah, man, you've got to be low IQ to do that. So, when I read about the sin of many kings and leaders and other men and women in the Bible, this is great proof that the Bible is the Word of God, and there's no change in it throughout all the years. If there were any change, one may think the Jews would remove mention of the sin of their kings or their leaders. Christians would do the same if this practice were acceptable. How many people today would write the history of his close family members and describe their wrongdoings and sins? Yeah, there's no revisionist history there. The more you love your people, the more you try to present them as godly, but that isn't the case in the Bible. David committed adultery with Bathsheba and killed her husband, Uriah. And when Peter denied Jesus 3 times, the Bible records what took place. The Jews and Christians did not change the story. Now let's get back to Lot and his 2 daughters. Did Lot sin with his 2 daughters? The answer is no. For before the giving of the law, there is no sin. Although, I would ask you, I mean, you have, and this is where many people on social media go on about the Noahide laws will get you murdered because they're stupid, because the laws of Noah are the precursor to the laws of Moses. And in fact, the laws
Yeah.
of Noah have 6 or 7 of the laws of Moses, the 10 Commandments, in them. And these
Yes.
are laws that prohibit things like eating the flesh of a living animal and so on. In fact, let me bring
Not
those up.
sexual,
Actually, yeah,
not sexual laws. Not sexual laws. And the evidence is Abraham lived with Lot. Okay, is his uncle. And we know that Abraham married his own sister, half sister from the father, not from the mother. And people think that's incest. This is so ridiculous. Adam married his own flesh. It's okay for Adam's children to marry their sisters. As long as I got this one is mine. Now a man leave his father and you're not his wife. No, she became my wife. It's not for my other brothers to sleep with her. They did not sleep around like animals. A man picked up a sister. She's his wife for the rest of their life.
yes, you're right. You're right. Thanks for clarifying that. That's really good, Usama. So, for instance, people, just as a point, another small discussion on this. I was watching, again, you have lots of people trying to attack the Talmud because they're trying to claim that Islam is pure and perfect and the Talmud is evil and so on, when it's actually the
Yeah,
inverse, right? You can
yeah,
find a lot of weird things in the Talmud, but man, it's most of it is 99% of it's just exaggeration and lies. That said, what you find that explicitly in the Sharia. Now, the Bible
sure.
gives each of the 10 Commandments being kept before the time of Moses. These were the laws of God written on your heart before they were explicitly given to Moses. So God calls Jacob to return to Bethel, where God had appeared to him, and put away the foreign gods that are among you, right? Purify yourselves and change your garments, right? And there you make an altar to God. So in other words, that's like your first commandment: thou shalt make no other God before me, right?
Mhm.
So for instance, these are the 7 laws of Noah. Do not deny God or commit idolatry. Turn ye not
Sure.
unto idols. Right? I'm the
Yeah.
Lord thy God. Right? Thou shalt make unto thee no graven idol or image.
Not image.
Do not
Yeah.
misuse the name of God. Thou shalt not misuse the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Do not murder. Hold on. This is part of that. Do not engage in sexual immorality or adultery. That
What
does
is
seem to be.
adultery here? That's what I just a minute ago. If I choose that one sister of mine to be my wife, she will not sleep with my brother, or I'll not sleep with
Okay.
my husband, my brother's wife. You don't do that.
Okay.
When the
Yeah.
Bible said in Matthew 19, just talk about the marriage. Therefore, a man leave his mother and unite with his wife. They become one flesh. That is
Mhm.
the one flesh, one man, one woman together. It doesn't matter who she is before the law, because then when Moses came, now he cannot marry his sister. No,
Okay. Okay.
adultery
Okay.
is
Yes,
for
because
me to
he
sleep
put
with
the
my wife.
613 mitzvot. Yes.
Yeah, that's what we're
Okay.
talking about.
Okay. So, but it says, okay, so do not engage in sexual immorality or adultery, do not steal, do not eat of a live animal or drink its blood, and establish a legal system of government, which we can see in 2 Peter 2:10. Now, here's a
Yeah,
problem. Why would Christians, supposed Christians, have a problem with these laws? Do not steal. Well,
absolutely.
how's that a problem? How's that bad if the Jews don't want you to steal?
The only reason, brothers, the only reason Christians have a problem with these laws is because they're not Christian.
Fair enough. That kind of was my
Okay.
conclusion too. So notice, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not steal. It's okay in the Ten Commandments of Moses, but it's not okay in the laws of Noah. And they go on about the Noahide laws. It's okay to steal. I mean, what?
You know, they not only they are not a Christian, they don't have the conscience, because when you take something from somebody, you take it in the middle of the night when nobody's seeing, because you know it's gonna be you're doing something wrong. Your conscience will tell you what you're doing is wrong.
Yeah. You know, yesterday I did a talk, Usama. I did a talk with Ibn al-Waraq, and we were going through some articles I'd written about the Sharia, because I try to write these articles answering questions that I see and or things that puzzle me for that matter. And I try to go through the Sharia. And what I've learned is that whatever Muslim behavior you see, whatever you see them do as a cultural practice or habit or whatever you see, you can always, eventually, if you look, find it directly and clearly in the Sharia. It's explained there. It's commanded there. It's directed there as a command from Allah or as a practice that they should do or something. But it's always ultimately you find it in the Sharia. And Cargo Crew says the correlation thing. When you connect every atypical Muslim behavior to the Sharia, the puzzle fits perfectly. I mean, so tomorrow we can have
Yeah,
a chat, because you'd find it everywhere in the Sharia.
sure. And it's the immorality which they practice, which is they reject to practice. It was also given by Allah in the Quran. 424, for example, it was not the norm among Arabs, the idol worshiper, to have sex with women. They know their husband's still alive. But that's just what happened here. And Muhammad said, wait, don't relieve yourself by your own hands. Let me talk to Jibril. And the verse came, no, you can sleep with them, even though their husbands still alive. So the immorality which Muslim
Yeah.
practice in Islam is result of the work of Allah Himself in the Quran.
Yeah, and of course then in the Sharia it becomes that the marriage is annulled immediately.
Yeah,
Once the woman becomes your slave, the marriage is annulled, and the father loses ownership of the children.
yeah,
And yeah, and by the way, last point here, in the Talmud, in the Tosefta, there are four possible additional prohibitions against drinking the blood of a living animal, emasculation, which is chopping off the willy, sorcery, and all magical practices listed in Deuteronomy. So these laws, there's knowledge of these laws, even if not explicitly written, as early as 2105 BC. That's 3,000 years ago.
yeah. Long
And
time
Peter
ago.
does speak of was it Peter? Paul speaks of the law that is written on your heart, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is interesting for Osama. Can you see the question there?
For you, some of what? The New Testament often points to the Old Testament with
Some
something like
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 as it was written by. Does the Quran have any similar passages pointing to the Injil, like as was written in the, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Fasting was ordained to you as it was written or decreed to the to the people of the book. Obviously, they don't practice our fasting. Jihad is or jihad is the same, I believe, but there's no details. It's just you get one or two genuine talk about something, and when you find out what Muslims are doing, it is the opposite of what is written in the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, besides, and there's all these convenient excuses. Well, what it actually means is, actually, what it was saying is, when it says the sons of, it actually kind of when it meant it was the daughter of Aaron, when it was the sister of Aaron, what it actually means is that's a, yeah, okay, whatever. It just always means something else. It's corrupt. It's corrupt. It's definitely corrupt. But Muhammad's in there for sure.
Yeah.
You know. I've asked Muslims like, can you tell me specifically which sections of the Bible are corrupted?
Well,
And
no, at least in the Quran we can point to the contradiction, which they answered by saying, "Oh, this was abrogated by that." Okay, I understand that. What verse in the Bible has been changed? What used to be? That's a good question you to bring here, Lloyd. Or which book in the Bible is missing? You see, but the problem is they're talking from air, from thin air. They have nothing to lean on to show you there's something wrong in your book. It's just a thought out there. And the problem is getting worse when you investigate the Quran. You find that the Quran clearly teaches that the Bible is a perfect word of God. We maybe need to do a show on that, you and I, Lloyd, if you don't mind, some other Saturdays or whatever. We can do a show about has the Bible been corrupted according to the Quran, not the Bible, according to the Quran. So write it down. Has the Bible been corrupted? That'll be a good discussion you and I can
yeah,
have.
I've actually got a talk on that. I've actually got a talk on
Yeah.
that. Let me just see if I can find it for a moment. And in fact, when you go through the actual claims by the Islamic scholars, you look through the early claims and the late claims, what you find is that there's this conflict between those who claim that the error is the corruption is one of corruption of interpretation, not the actual text. And then later on, they're like, oh, no, 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 the text was corrupted. But then these scholars contradict each other all over the place. And in fact, they'll say, no, the Bible was corrupted after the death of Muhammad because Muhammad preserved it. So, but we've got copies of the Bible prior. So these scholars are all over the place. And
It's
now,
a problem.
no, the Bible is hopelessly corrupt, period. Don't ask questions.
Yeah, it's a problem. That's why, by the way, I bought my copy Codex B, 20 some years ago, 23 years ago. For that reason, its date, the original one is 371 AD. It's
Yep.
in Greek, Old Testament. So
Wow.
if that is 300 years before Muhammad was a gleam in his father's eye, how in the world do you tell me it was corrupted after him?
Because you're a hypocrite and
Must
so this is a talk I've got on this tahrif lafzi and tahrif, the other one, whatever. But this is polemics. I call this polemics. Okay, Islam versus Saint Paul, because they keep blaming Paul. And notice here, let me just show this to everyone. You might find these are literally claims Islamic scholars have made throughout history. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's have a look here. Muslim historians and scholars, you can see I use the term scholars. You heard it here first. They claim that Paul was the king of the Jews. They claim that Paul was King Saul. I kid you not. Muslim
I
scholars
know.
literally say that Christians followed Islam for 81 years after Jesus died. That Paul was a wicked Jew who committed suicide in the name of Jesus to destroy Christianity. Paul was a good Christian, and he asked the Romans to murder the Jews. Paul's a wicked Jew who, in the name of Jesus, killed himself to destroy Christianity, but he's a good Christian who went to the Romans and asked them to kill the Jews. True story. Christians never believed in Jesus' divinity. Paul fabricated this.
Yeah.
Paul invented the doctrine of the Trinity. Paul
Sure.
caused the Crusades. In fact, Paul in the
What
5th
do you
century.
mean the doctrine of Trinity was not invented in the Council of Nicaea
No,
320?
they
It
go on
was
and
Paul himself.
Paul himself invented it. And not
Ah,
only this,
okay,
they
we give him
they actually
credit.
state that Paul created 3 disciples, right? Nestor, the Nestorian, who's from the 5th century. So somehow Paul was nearly 500 years old. And then he had three successors, and he gave them each a totally different contradictory story. And deliberately to destroy Christianity with 3 competing. And the one guy's like from the 200s, the one's from the 300s, and the other one is from the 400s. You're
And they
like,
all met
how are
together.
Paul alive? How are all of these guys alive at the same
They,
time?
they have conference together and they ate lunch and they talked about everything and they finish the meeting before dinner. I remember
Yes,
this.
and this is literally the stories from the Muslim scholars. And you're like, this is stupidity on a
Why can't
grand
you believe in
scale.
that, man? What's wrong with you? What's wrong? It's true.
Yeah. And a Muslim believer saved Christ's teachings, right? Which was Islam. So when Christianity was lost, a group of believers had saved it, saved the beliefs, and then they brought it back into the world, I think around the time of the Crusades, and it was Islam, and they brought Christianity, which is Islam, back to the world after Christianity was lost. This is but you gotta, it is wild.
I already have a headache. Just look at these 8 points. I'm literally suffering headache right now.
Yeah. So, and here, if all the Christians were Muslims for 80 years after Jesus died, then the New Testament was written by Muslims. I don't know why I never thought of that. Villain, that is a brilliant, brilliant observation.
Help.
This is world-class stupid from Muslim scholars.
And the funny is, he calls them scholars.
Scholars.
Oh, scholars. I'm sorry, not scholars. Scholars.
I mean, this is, I've got a whole talk on this. It is nuts when you go through this. This is from the 8th century onwards, or the 9th century onwards. All of these Muslim scholars, you read their writings, and it is fiction, it is comedy, it is hysterically stupid. Anything but true.
MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Mm.
Okay, well, let's finish up a little bit because I'm a little tired. So perhaps we can finish up in the next few minutes if that's okay, Usama.
Absolutely. Flexible.
So let's yeah. So before the giving of the law, there is no sin, right? Imagine you lived alone in a city, you drove your car 40 to 50 miles per hour, and you did not stop at the corners of the street. Then change happens. People move to the city, put stop signs on every street corner. So then, of course, you're now reduced to a speed limit of 25 miles per hour. So now you can say if you drive your car again and do not obey the speed limit, the stop signs and the red lights, you will be punished. So perhaps you'll be fined and lose your driver's license. Why? Because the law was written and then change took place in the city. Who did Adam's sons marry? That's a good question. That's a long debated topic. They married their own sisters, but that was the normal way of life. God did not create two Adams and two Eves, but one man and one woman. I know that Muslim scholars lie and teach that every time Eve got pregnant, she had twins, a boy and a girl. But the son of one pregnancy could marry the sister of another pregnancy. By such fabrication, Muslims claim there was no incest.
It's like, wait a minute. If you marry your sister from the other pregnancy, she's not your sister. She's now become your cousin. You follow the idea, Lloyd?
Yeah, I know. So that's why cousin marriage is so important in Islam, because that's not incest when you marry a family member. Yeah. So, I mean, Islam is just one. Yeah. So, who did Abraham marry? Right? He married Sarah, his half sister, was the daughter of his father, but not of his own mother, as written in Genesis 20, verse 12. This practice continued until Moses' time in Leviticus 18, where it shows who a man can marry and cannot marry, and even when he may marry. For example, in adherence to purification laws, a man cannot have sexual relations with his own wife during her menstruation or during a time of sickness. All this is written in the law of Moses in detail. So, did he have sexual relations with his daughters? In Genesis 19:33, it's written, he slept with his older daughter, and in verse 35, he slept with his younger daughter. It was not a lie. It was not for the purpose of his two daughters to enjoy a sexual relationship with their father, but for the purposes of having children to refill the earth, exactly as it was for Adam's sons and daughters. The Bible said the older daughter had a son whom she named Moab, the father of all the Moabites. The younger daughter had a son named Benami, the father of all the Ammonites. And this is the origin of the Moabites and the Ammonites, and it is proof that the account is true. But weren't they the enemies of the Jews?
In Arabic, we say Banomi, which is the father of the Ammonites.
Weren't they the enemies of the Jews?
Yes, absolutely. Later, yes. And as always, they created their own enmity with the Jewish people because they just simply did not allow them to travel through the land to get to the promised land, and they start fighting with them. It was so stupid. They were not. They actually, if I remember exactly, they offered them money for whatever food they're going to eat while they're traveling through the land. So they make it so hard for them to travel to the promised land by crossing on their land, and they start fighting them. So they created enmity for no reason
Right.
except life. But here's the catch, Lord. Here's the catch. Something important. If Muslims do not believe that these two nations, the Moabite and the Ammonites, was the result of the sexual relationship between the two daughters of Lot and their father, can Muslims tell me where these two nations came from? What is
Um,
their ancestry?
so I'm gonna say it's from it's a guy, but
And the
just give
guy
it a
and the
few
other lady.
minutes
I
to make up
understand.
a
Yeah,
name.
I understand. What I'm saying is, Muslims reject the truth of the scripture. At the same time, they do not know that there is no other solution. Okay, all the Muslim beliefs will tell you, they tell you that King David did not commit adultery with Bathsheba. Okay, that is a mistake in the Bible. That is a lie in the Bible. You're making you're ruining your own Bible by your hand. That's fine. Now, every Muslim believes in King Solomon. And we ask the question, who is Solomon's mama's? Who is Solomon's mother? Guess what? It's Bathsheba. See, you see the problem is, if you reject the biblical account, you have to find me another answer for where
Right.
these people came from. If the Ammonites and the Moabites are not the descendant of Lot and his own two daughters, where's he come from? Because you don't know. If you don't know, why don't you accept the written? Accept the truth of what is written in the Bible. And so on. Was I can give you another 100 examples, but we don't have
Yeah,
time
I
right
mean,
now.
but this is frustrating. I mean, this is just how do people believe this nonsense and then want to foist it on us and believe it's true? It's just insanity.
I think because you don't eat enough of this. You eat enough of that, I promise you, your life will never be the
Those
same.
had better be mini Ajwa burgers.
Listen, this is that Muhammad said that is the fruit of the garden. This is the fruit of the garden. Seven, listen, Lloyd, I'm gonna give you advice. Seven every day. No poison will ever touch you. You can drink poison, will not harm you whatsoever.
You know, there's an old saying in Africa, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. So imagine how much fun you can have with the doctor's daughter and a box of apples. You know, we have yeah, so it's
Lloyd, keep it R, not R rated, keep it R 13. What do you call it? 13? Parents rating? What do you call this?
yeah, yeah, so let's keep it family friendly around here.
Family
Um,
friendly. Remember, we have lots of family watching us right now.
well, Villainous just broke the rule here. He says it was that giant cockroach poop. Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like. Yeah, yeah, that's you know,
Listen, this is the best protein for your body. It was not invented by Muhammad. We, the Egyptian, ate it years and years before there was even any herbs to start with.
yeah, that's yeah. So here we are. I mean, here we are discussing the Quran, and
Hey,
it
I
is.
missed you. I missed you, brother Lloyd. I'm glad you're back. You made my day today. I appreciate you for that.
I hope you can feel my pain.
Well, I struggle a little bit with some of the information you shared today. A little bit headache, a little bit, but it's all good. I love it. I love it like that. Yeah.
Right. So yeah, hopefully this has been educational for the audience. You've learned something about the KKK, which seems to be a little bit Islamic. In fact, very Islamic. Let's be honest. The Shriners, which are incredibly Islamic, in fact, totally so.
Yeah. All
Definitely.
cults,
Well,
all cults belong to the same God. His name is Allah. I don't care how you describe him in whatever. Believe me, Mormon, Jehovah's Witness, Muslims, Shriners, whatever. They're all the same. Take your eye from the real road, from the true way of traveling, for the way of life, and you get lost. Even if you go a little bit off, because if I go 1 degree off in a 1,000 mile trip, in the end of the 1,000 mile, you're in a different country, not in a different state. You're in a different country. Just trust me. I know this for a
yeah,
fact.
yeah.
It's just stick with the word of God, Jesus, the way, the truth, and the life. Otherwise, you're gonna get lost.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way this Quran can be taken seriously. It has too many holes. In fact, it's only a hole held together with
That's,
I know.
that's what I'm saying. There's not too much fabric left to create any one more
Yeah.
hole.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah. So let's call it a night, and I need to go and drown my sorrows. After all of this information, I need to, do something, anything to get this nonsense out of my head. It's actually really difficult to read this and think, how can anyone think this is coherent, or this is believable, or logical, or rational, or historical, or just coherent? It's
exactly.
really strange that I don't know how people can believe this.
Exactly. God is good.
Yep.
Well, appreciate you, brother. Thanks a million, and look forward to see you next Tuesday.
Yep. So everyone, thank you, Usama, and thanks everyone. We shall all see you guys soon. So take care, everyone. God bless. And I
God
hope
bless
you
you.
all learned something useful tonight. Take care. Goodbye.